Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up this screen here. Yep, Lane is trolling Florida. Gators they're in trouble. Look, their spring game didn't look so good, and they definitely have a problem. Yeah, their quarterback situation's not good, and this is a team that's coming off 2 losing seasons. And Billy Napier, he's kind of on the hot seat already after 1 year, and that's Florida football. And that's Tennessee football or any SEC school other than maybe Vanderbilt and a couple others. If you have a losing season, people are upset, and you'd better bring in a huge recruiting class or some superstar. And, of course, they had the whole Jaden Rashada deal, which was horrible. And, by the way, I still have that contract that they signed with Rashada, and it's still, it's right here. I mean, it's clear. They owe him $13 million, so I'm not sure how that's all going to play out. But, I mean, it's in black and white right on the Charmin, too. And Charmin's like the highest quality. So, they're not fooling around. When they write a contract, they use the best paper available.
Whipple. Please don't squeeze the Charmin.
So, anyway, let's get into this. And, look, it's not just me giving Florida grief. And it's funny, Florida's a great place to visit and to vacation. I go down there every winter and play golf with my brothers and do all that. But it's the Gators. Man, I'm telling you, they are my nemesis. They are the team that upsets me the most, and I think it stems from the 90s where we really were in a position to win some national championships, and Florida kept taking a leak on our Cheerios. But anyway, everybody's talking about the Gators and their lack of quality depth at quarterback, and they're not looking so good. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, now this is the Paul Feinbaum Show, and this is a fella that's channel's called That SEC Podcast, and he pretty much covers all the teams in the SEC, and he's talking about Florida here.
Great. Let's talk about some other programs. I was amused by your tweets last night of the high-scoring shootout down at the Swamp. What did you make out of Billy Napier's second spring game?
Paul, can we put someone on the hot seat after a spring game? Because I don't think there were any winners last night in Gainesville. And yes, I did have some fun with it, but I was basically just tweeting out what was actually happening on the field. It was embarrassing. And, I've been many times saying we need patience with Billy Napier. I like what they're doing on the recruiting trail. That's fantastic. And Florida fans should be fired up about all that. But when we sit here and we say maybe year 3, maybe year 4, when we got Josh Heupel turning around Tennessee, Shane Beamer turning around South Carolina, heck, Brian Kelly just won the SEC West in his first year at LSU. Billy Napier's got to get it done on the field, and it's not helping that his main rivals, back-to-back national champion, may win a third. Florida State is ascending as a top 10 team seemingly in the upcoming preseason. So, all these excuses are nice, but all he's really doing is loading the roster for the next coach if he can't get it done on the field.
All right, so that's obviously pretty significant when you start seeing it all the way around the board. But look, here's another YouTuber, and this guy's got a bunch of subscribers, a lot of people watching.
Another one.
And it's Josh Pate.
Though they were bad last year, not to put too fine a point on it. They were 1-5 versus top 25 teams. 30 was the magic number defensively. They were 0-6 when allowing 30 or more. They were 6-1 when they allowed less than 30. I don't think that's shocking. What is a little bit of a shock to the senses, I guess, is they are back-to-back sub 500 now for the first time since 78 and 79. Bradley wasn't even born then. Junior Director Bradley wasn't even around. That's a long time ago. Remember the era we're in, because it has a lot to do with how people are going to talk about Billy Napier this year. We are in that whole portal, NIL, post-Lincoln Riley USC resurrection era. And all that sounds like Cam Newton word salad. What that means is once a guy has taken over a fledgling program and reignited it overnight, like Lincoln Riley just did USC, by using the transfer portal and NIL, folks are going to think anyone should be capable of doing that, again, just like that, overnight. And when you don't, instead of someone saying, have patience, that one person's going to be drowned out by 38 other people saying, no, forget patience. Lincoln Riley did it. Why can't you do it? We're Florida, after all. What do they have that we don't? That's the way it's going to go. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm right. That's the way it's going to go. Now, you go 9-3 this year, I won't have to listen to it. But you go 7-5, 6-6, you're struggling to make a bowl game again, we absolutely will have to deal with it. That's the first thing. Another thing, Billy Napier came from Louisiana, and he came from the G5 ranks. And whether it's fair or not, there are other jobs that will come open, and athletic directors and hiring search firm committee types, whether it's fair, again, or not, they are going to use this as a barometer. And sure enough, if you're looking at a G5 candidate for your Power 5 head coaching position, someone in the room is going to say, well, remember what Billy Napier did at Florida over the past 2 years. This year will determine whether that is a positive or a negative. Because if he's put up back-to-back subpar seasons, someone's going to say, I don't know, do we want to end up like Florida? Because you've seen one G5 head coach, you've seen them all, right?
Yeah, Billy Napier is under a lot of pressure. Let's just put it that way. He needs to have a good season. And like I say, 7-6 is probably not going to get it done. He probably needs 9 wins to at least calm down the Florida Gator fans. And like I say, with their quarterback situation, it's going to be tricky. Now, here's a guy that's he's very controversial, but he had a lot to say about the Florida Gator spring game.
Another one.
I feel like I owe Auburn an apology. The Auburn spring game was bad, and I came on here, talked about it. I may have overreacted. I watched the Florida spring game yesterday. That Florida spring game has set football back 100 years. That might be the worst football game I've ever seen, of any kind. Worse than Georgia beating TCU in the national title game. Worse than, some top 10 team playing, whipping an FCS team. It was just bad football. Think of the Iowa offense. You know how bad the Iowa offense is. People crack jokes about the Iowa offense all the time. It's almost become a meme at this point, the Iowa offense. Imagine if the Iowa offense was just an entire football team that was that bad. That might be Florida. I don't even really know where to start here. They can't snap the ball. They can't snap the ball. The most basic, fundamental aspect of college football, the thing that starts every offensive play, they can't snap the ball. They had to add time. The game ended. They had to add additional time to the game at the end to give the field goal kicker an opportunity to make a kick because he had missed so many during the regular game. It was like a cuddle parade for the kicker. Like, no, I know the game's over and the kicker has missed every field goal he's attempted. Why don't we add some extra time to the clock so that we can give our field goal kicker one more opportunity? It was just the saddest thing. It was so sad. Florida is in a world of hurt.
Yeah. Now, Uncle Lou can get a little bit ahead of himself on that, but I mean, there's nobody saying good things about the Florida Gators right now. And let's get into our boy Lane Kiffin.
And another one.
And this is a USA Today article. It says Lane Kiffin savagely trolled Florida for having an extremely low-scoring spring game. There's that smirk. He's trolling. You can tell when he's trolling, he's always smirking. It says Lane Kiffin is one of the best coaches in the college football world right now, if you can keep him. But he also seems to be pretty good at trolling. Florida can certainly attest to that right now. The Ole Miss head coach didn't miss his chance to take a shot at the Gators publicly via Twitter. When he saw how terribly Florida's spring game was going, the two were tied at 7-7 in the middle of the fourth quarter. And here's what he put, some flames right here next to the Florida Gators, which that may not seem like that big a deal. Look, head coaches at SEC teams don't do that, okay? They don't sit there and troll another team in the SEC. And when you get on Twitter, and let's see the Twitter reaction to the Florida Gators. And this is an article on Yahoo by James Morgan. And it talks about the Lane Kiffin tweet, obviously. And then Brandon Zimmerman of BZSEC, he says, not as clean as you would like. Gators QB's uninspiring in spring game. Said 4 takeaways from Gators' ugly spring game. Said Gators' spring game reveals painful truth. Time for Billy Napier to head back to the portal to find a quarterback.
It ain't got no gas in it.
Barrett Salee says the Gators look like a team that's had exactly 15 practices together. It says, here's Florida after the spring game. So it's just a lot of trolling across the board. But, I mean, it's YouTube, it's Twitter, it's all over the place. And they're going to have to go get another quarterback, I would think. I just don't know that if Mertz is the guy or not. And the fellow that played in their bowl game last year he struggled. So, and I don't know what you can go out there and get at this point. I get you can get another quarterback, but it's going to be somebody that didn't get the starting role somewhere else. So, but they're going to need some options, I would think. Unless they're going to throw a bunch of money at it. And again, they'll have to pull out a roll of Charmin for that. So I wasn't really planning on covering the Gators, but with everything going on between all the different platforms, I kind of had to. And it's the Gators, so you knew I was going to do that.
Hello, Newman.
Hello, Jerry.
So we'll see what they end up doing, but I think they definitely have a problem, and they better call Houston.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
Maybe there's a quarterback over there in that city they can get. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. And if you have not subscribed, it's right here on the left. Just hit that little button. Costs you nothing. Helps me out. And my most recent video is right over here. Check that out if you don't care. And I hope you did like the content. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.